So what did you do then next?
I didn't notice that Joe was moving. And
Well, let me ask you this. Did you ever touch Joe?
I never touched Joe at any point during this encounter.
Okay. And when you moved the knife, what did you then, what happened next?
I turned around and faced Christine, and I kneeled down next to her.
Okay. And what was her position at the time that you kneeled down next to her?
At that point, she was on her stomach. She was kind of writhing back and forth, kind of rolling back and forth, and I guess at some point, pretty quickly, she rolled over onto her back.
Was that with your assistance?
At that point, she was doing that on herself. I don't think that I helped her roll onto her back.
Okay. What, if anything, were you doing to assist her at that point?
So she was holding her neck, and she told me that she couldn't see, and I asked her to let me see, indicating that her hand was covering her neck, and she very shakily removed her hand from her neck, and I could see the wound on the right side of her neck.
Okay. And what, if anything, did you do at that point?
She told me to put my hand there, and she had put her hand back on her neck, and then I put my left hand on top of her hand, but she pulled her hand from underneath mine and put her hand back on top of my hand and put pressure on my hand, I think indicating that she wanted more pressure on the wound. And
did you do that?
Yes, I had.
Okay.
I had my hands on hers, trying to apply pressure.
And she was helping you?
Yes.
And so at that point, had you asked Juliana to call 911?
At that point, I noticed that Juliana was in the room, and I told Juliana to both call 911, and I told her to watch him, meaning indicating to Joe.
So the position that you were in when you were attending to Christine, where was it in relation to Joe at the last time you saw him?
Joe was behind me. I wasn't facing Joe. I was kneeling down with Christine in front of me. I guess my body orientation would be towards the master bathroom.
Okay. And what if anything happened next?
Juliana she looked like she was stunned, but after I told her to call 911 and watch him, she seemed to dart forward and went into the master bathroom.
Okay. And did you ask her to do that?
No.
Do you know what she was doing?
I know what she was doing now, but I don't think I was thinking about what she was doing at.
Okay.
There was another shot. And I looked up and I saw that Juliana had my other firearm, and I was stunned that Juliana had shot.
Okay. Did you, where was she in relation to where you were?
She was in front of the she was in front of the master bathroom door. There's kind of a double door.
And so, how far do you think she was from you when you shot?
Not very far
When
at
she
all.
shot?
Not very far at all. Maybe 4 or 5 feet.
Was there any indication as to why she shot prior to shooting?
I didn't hear her say anything prior to. I didn't hear her say anything prior to her shooting.
Now, at any point, do you recall Joe Ryan touching you?
So this was at roughly the same time as the shot. I don't exactly know. If I would assume maybe almost simultaneously. Joe Ryan struck me in my shoulder, like the back part of my shoulder blade.
And did you see him do that?
I did not see him do that.
How did you know it was him?
Well, he's the only person behind me. There's no one else. There's no one else behind me.
And after you felt that, was that when Juliana shot?
To me, those all seem to be within the same second. It's hard to say exactly.
Okay. Now, when you were, so you were tending to Christine prior to Juliana shooting, correct?
Yes.
Were you able to maintain whatever it was you were doing for Christine?
I don't know exactly why, but my reaction to being hit and Juliana shooting was to stand up. And I stood up and turned around and looked at Joe.
Okay.
Joe was then further back, closer to the wall, and partially on the dog bed.
Now, did you make sure that he was not getting up again?
I looked at him. He did not appear to be moving at that point.
Okay. What did you then do?
I yelled for Juliana to call 911 again, and I turned back around and went back to Christine.
Now, do you know what Juliana did with the gun that she used to shoot Joe Ryan?
At some point, I know she put it on the bed.
Did you observe that?
I don't think I observed her putting it on the bed.
Okay. And the gun that Juliana shot Joe Ryan with wasn't the gun that you have, correct?
No, the gun that I shot Joe Ryan with was my duty weapon, a Glock 19M, and the gun that Juliana took out of the safe, was a Glock 43X.
Now, the gun that you used to shoot Joe, was that put back in the holster?
I did not put my gun back in the holster. I put it on the ground next to me, basically just right at my side, kind of where I was kneeling.
So where, in terms of position, when you were tending to Christine, what position were you facing? I
was facing Christine towards the master bathroom door, and yeah.
And so when you put your gun down in order to aid her, was it, to what direction did you put the gun down?
I put it to my right, so it was in between me and the bed.
And to the best of your recollection, do you know where it was in terms of in relation to the corner of the bed?
It's pretty close to the back left corner of the bed. There wasn't too much space between me and the bed at this point.
And can you just tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury, in terms of time that morning, after you put that gun down, what did you do?
Well, when I put the gun down, that's when I had originally started aid to Christine, and that was when I asked her to show me the wound, and then we had kind of both put our hands on the wound.
Okay. Now, did there come a time when you instructed Juliana to call 911?
I had instructed Juliana to call 911 at least twice.
Okay. And did there come a time where you realized that, when you were wondering what was going on with 911?
She seemed to be, after she shot, she seemed to be stunned and just standing there, not doing anything. And I yelled at her to call 911 again.
Okay. And do you know if she followed your advice?
At that point, she seemed to come out of her trance, and I know that she started working on her phone.
Now, why didn't you call 911?
I had a significant amount of blood on my hands, and I was trying to help Christine. And also, we're trained that if there's others around, if you can have them call 911 or assist you, that is something that you would instruct them to do.
So from inside the room, please describe for the ladies and gentlemen of the jury how that 911 came, how you came to be talking on the 911 call.
Juliana seemed to be pacing, kind of in front of the TV area of the bedroom and kind of moving towards the master bedroom door. She called 911, but when she called, she really wasn't saying anything. She was kind of stumbling over her words.
And so what, if anything, did you do?
I heard that she was on the call with 911. And I could hear the 911 operator asking questions, and so I answered the questions, of my home location and I guess briefly what had happened.
And what did you say?
I believe I said that there was a man that had stabbed my wife and that I had shot him. And I identified myself as an officer, gave my address. Yeah.
Okay. And at that point, were you still rendering aid to Christine?
Yes, we had spoke slightly more also during that time. She was coughing, and blood had come out of her mouth. And so I knew that that's possible for people to choke on blood. And so I told her I was going to roll her on her side, and she did, and so we did, and so I did that, and she seemed to know that that was also the right thing to do.
Okay. And so she was able to help you roll her over?
Yeah, so I rolled, so I guess it would be kind of slightly away from me, slightly more towards the master bathroom door, and further away from the bed.
Now, in the time frame that we've just talked about, did you ever get a point where you had a better idea of the wounds that were on Christine's neck?
After Juliana shot, and I went back to Christine. Once again, I put my hand on her hand, but she slid her hand from underneath mine and put it on top of mine. And actually, my finger went inside of her neck, and that made me realize how badly she was hurt.
Now, with regard to when the hands were removed off of the neck, was there any indication as to how badly she was hurt in terms of anything?
I'm sorry, could you say it again?
In terms of, once you took your hands off of her neck, did that give you any indication of the extent of the wounds?
Yeah, I could see I saw the length of the wound, and the fact that part of my finger actually went inside of hers before I quickly moved my hand out.
Were you able to, and so were you able to continue compression?
I did try. I would say that both of us continued to try compression. Probably also just before she rolled over, I realized that she was holding her hand on the other side of her neck too. I didn't notice that previously.
And so what side of the neck are you talking about now?
I was helping her with the right side of her neck, and she had her left hand on her left side of her neck.
Okay, so she was tending to herself on the left side of the neck?
Yeah, I didn't notice that originally.
Okay, did you assist her then at that point?
I did not put my other hand around her I did not put my other hand around her at that point. It was I don't know. I guess we were focused. I was talking to her, and I guess I was a little bit more focused on that.
Okay. And in talking to her, did she assist you in any, in terms of how you could help her?
Basically, she had indicated that she had told me that she, in her words and with her hands, that she wanted more pressure. After my finger had gone into her neck, I guess I tried to close my hand a little bit around the skin to try to, try to close the wound as much as possible, but it didn't seem to be doing anything.
Okay, and in terms of the blood when you took your hand off of her wound? What did you see?
In the beginning, you could see that the blood was like, I guess, partially shooting out, and it was going through her fingers. But later on, that wasn't what was happening any longer.
Okay. And what, if anything, did you observe, and what did you do?
I mean, this was back to putting pressure and covering the wound. And
now, did there come a time when the first responders arrived?
yes, after some time, the first responders arrived. I know that Juliana left the room at some point, and I know that I heard her go down the stairs. I think that 911 had instructed her to open the door. At a different point on the 911 call, the 911 operator advised to get towels. And Juliana, this was before opening the door, Juliana went into the master bathroom and came back with towels also.
Now, had you been using anything when the 911 operator suggested towels, clean towels, things like that?
So I guess originally I guess I stopped doing pressure when the 911 operator recommended to use towels. And at that point, I grabbed the comforter that was kind of all around me, and I used the comforter, part of the comforter on her neck for a little bit.
Okay. And did there come a time where you moved to something different, or what
When Juliana gave me the towels, I kind of tossed the comforter behind me and used a towel.
Okay. Now, what, if anything, did you do after that?
I know that there was a point that I rechecked Christine's pulse. So I had to remove the towel, and I saw that it wasn't really as covered in blood anymore, and the pulse was significantly weaker. And I checked her pulse with my hand. Her pulse, she still had a pulse, but it felt slow and weak compared to when I had my hand previously.
Now, if you can, and do you have any idea, or can you give the ladies and gentlemen of the jury any indication as to, from the time you shot Joe Ryan to the time the first responders arrived, how long that was?
It's hard. It's very difficult to say. It felt like an extremely long time. I don't know. You're not really thinking about how long it really takes, but the wait on the 911 call felt like it was forever.
After you testified, you stood up after Juliana shot Joe Ryan.
Yeah.
Was there any time between the moment you went back to Christine and the time the first responders arrived that you weren't next to Christine?
After I stood up, I spent the rest of my time kneeling next to Christine, and I did not get up from next to Christine until first responders arrived and instructed me that they were going to take over.
Okay. Well, let's go to that point. What was the first thing that you realized that the police were there, or fire, or whomever?
I know that I heard Juliana yelling to come up here. And I heard many footsteps and people arriving.
And from your position of rendering aid, how did you move from that position?
So I was facing Christine and facing towards the master bathroom, and I guess I was instructed to go into the master bathroom.
When you went, okay, sorry, go ahead.
I think I was standing relatively near for a few seconds before they instructed me to go into the master bathroom.
And when you relinquished first aid duties to the first responders, was Christine still breathing?
Yes, Christine was still breathing.
And her pulse was still positive?
Yes, she was still alive, very much.
Okay. Now,